Good afternoon, Facebook. It's Stephen again, second time today, and again I find myself on my own. I'm not sure where my guest is, and therefore I'm not sure what to do about this broadcast. One of the things is that obviously all the shows that I do are based on Eastern Time, because according to David, that's the only time there is. So this is live at 12 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, the 7th of June. And my guest today is John Simmons of the new John Simmons show. But at the moment, all I have of John is the photograph that's showing on screen. So, what to do? I know that some of you may have been looking forward to this broadcast. I certainly am. And I'm trying to get in touch with John to see if we have a time difference problem. And it's going to be interesting. If you've got any questions whilst I'm waiting, I'll say, hello, Michelle. Yes, it's one of those today. My guest from the States is somewhere. I'm hoping that he does arrive shortly. I was watching one of his... If you don't laugh, Michelle, you've got to laugh. You've got to take it all in a light mood, because if you get too serious about things, then you can take it that I mean, this show is going live on 8 different pages at the same time by the wonders of live cross posting from Facebook, and it's magical. It's just magical the way that it works. And if my guest was here, I would be asking him some questions, because he's got his own radio show. This should be an interview with John Simmons, who is, is a broadcaster out of the States, Christian radio. And my first question to him is, what is the new John Simmons show about? And of course, I had no idea, because I wanted to ask him about the show. So I'm just going to end up talking to myself for 5 minutes with a cancelled show, I think. I wonder, and the other thing is the other problem I've got at the moment is that I am running several different organizations, including the Live Video Hub, which is where I'm just going to check to see if John has actually commented there. Okay. Michelle, yes, possibly. Hang on, just let me find out where I spoke to him, because I can speak to him in several different places, and that's probably what's confusing the issue as well. So I'm going over to Messenger now, and it's not that Messenger. So let's go over to the other Messenger and check that one. And in the meantime, he may turn up. You never know. This is a waiting game. I'm going to the inbox now. I've got a message from someone, and I can see 2 people watching. Thank you for watching. And I've lost him. Lost him entirely. Let's just see if I can find him. No, he's not there. And look at the second messenger, and he's there. Oh, I don't know. I've got a mystery on my hands. I sent him the direct link to the show. I tested the link. Tell you what. Let's make the best of a bad game. And if you want to join me on camera, please just type guest, and I'll bring you in on camera, and we can talk about anything you like. Okay, and I can see 3 people watching now. This is getting embarrassing. Not that I should be embarrassed, but I tell you what, I messaged 147 people saying that this show was going live at 5 o'clock with Mr. John Simmons, and that's him. And we haven't got a John Simmons. So if anyone wants to come in and just talk generally about anything and everything, then I say I don't know where he's gone. I've got a genuine mystery on my hands, because I've got 3 chats going. I've got the Be Live in 5 chat, I've got the Live Video Hub chat, And of course, I've got my own personal messenger, and I can't see him at the moment in any of those. So I'm certain I didn't. This is not a dream. Nadeem, your comment is most welcome. Great show always. Thanks to Be Live in 5. Well, thank you. Most welcome. Yeah, we have a mystery. We definitely have a mystery on our hands because he is nowhere to be found. And because I'm trying to keep one eye on talking to you, and thank you for being here, it's very difficult to actually sort of go off camera and come back. Because if you're watching a blank screen, that wouldn't quite work, would it? So shout out anybody who wants to hop on camera, then please do. Just type guest, you get a message in Messenger, which I checked earlier. And just whilst we're talking about Messenger, our RJ's Discovery Engine, which allows you to find shows under category, so business, fitness, any sort of category, is being tested at the moment. And basically on the Live Video Hub, we have got currently, I'll find it, we've got 134 shows as of now. And basically you can find any of those shows by searching. And it's very clever. I'm looking forward to seeing it in full operation. I'm just Karen Glasser has just shared my video, which is absolutely brilliant. Today I'm interviewing John Simmons, but I've no idea where John Simmons has gone. So it's just us. We can talk about anything you like. I'm generally speaking, but I can't answer John's questions. That's the problem. I was so looking forward to talking to him about his new studio, his passion, vision, and faith. And he's heavily involved in radio broadcasting, which is somewhere we'd all like to go. Because if you can talk on video, then you can certainly talk on radio. And he seems to have got his show syndicated to several different radio stations, so that when he goes live on Be Live, he's actually going live on radio at the same time. And he has calling guests too. So he's definitely a chap who's got it sussed. And I would love to be able to talk to him about his show. I'm going to have to rearrange it. I can see this coming. He's just disappeared off the face of the earth because he should be showing in one of my chats somewhere, I would have thought. Let me just refresh and see if I can find him anywhere. Okay, this is fun. Oh. Right, he's seen the show link and hopefully he's seen the time. I found his message. I'm just going to say hi and see if he's anywhere about. If he sees the message, one of the things I like about Facebook Messenger is that you can see when somebody's seen a message. So I'm just going to busk it for a few moments while we wait for John to arrive and hopefully reply to my message. But he's not been active in the last 2 hours, so things are not looking good. I think, as I said at the top of the show, what we have here is one of those occasions where the time difference is not working as it should. It is 12 p.m. Eastern. It is nearly 5:10 in the UK, and all should be well. I say hello to Nadeem and to Michelle and to Jason as well. He could have technical difficulties. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, anything could happen. And oh, right, okay, right, okay. Now, this is the problem. I'm going to explain what the problem is, and then we'll get on with the show. The difficulties, which Michelle quite rightly describes, are simple. All the shows I do are in Eastern time, so whenever I set a show up, I know it's going to be 12 p.m. Eastern. Unfortunately, in this particular case, John lives in Central Time. This is going to get more and more complicated. Central Time means that my 5 p.m. is John's 11 a.m. So John was ready to go live in 50 minutes time at 12 p.m. his time, which and Mountain Time is 10 a.m. at the moment, and of course Pacific Time is 9 a.m. So 12 p.m. ET, 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Central Time CT, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and 9 a.m. Is Pacific Time. See how much I've learnt since I've started broadcasting globally. I know my times. I know the time zones across America. I don't know, and I'll put my hand up here. Okay, he's actually. Thank you, Jason. He's actually with us in a couple of minutes. He's probably running around in a panic at the moment. He will be with us in a moment. If you stay with us, stay with me, then he'll be back in. He'll be joining us in a moment. Because I would like to know more about what he does. And I sent him the link to the show, this guest link to the show. I sent him a link to, I sent him the link to the Facebook post. So you'd see the Facebook post in his own time zone, because that's the beauty of Facebook. It should have shown him that we're actually going live at 11 o'clock. So yeah, perfect. All's well that ends well. Yeah, he's on his way. That rhymes. That rhymes, Michelle. Well done. I'm just trying to find out. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your kind words. I just need to busk it for a few more minutes, and he'll be here. If anybody's got any questions, then just ask me. I mean, this is the interview with John Simmons, and it will be starting shortly. If you've got any questions for John, then please pop them up on screen, because in a moment, just give me a thumbs up, John, when you're ready. Right, okay, everybody, pretend the last 12 minutes just didn't happen.
My extreme apologies, Stephen. I am so sorry.
No, not a problem. We're very forgiving. No problem at all. I mean, these things happen. I mean, you've got 4 time zones in the States.
Yeah.
And I always assume that people are on the Eastern time. But anyway, we're here now.
Yeah, the kids were sick last night. I had to stay home. I wasn't in the office. I didn't have my calendar in front of me, and I knew I had this at noon, and I just kept thinking noon in my head. So
I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Misremembering things is my speciality.
Yes.
So we can say hello to Jason, who's watching, and to Michelle, who's watching as well, and to anybody who joins us shortly. Right, it's good to be together.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by your show and what you actually do. So my first question, because I know you've given me 3 questions, so I'll come to those in a moment, is whereabouts are you based? Because we need to get to the bottom of this one.
Sure, yeah. So I live in St. Louis, Missouri, Midwest, and we do the show live from a radio station in St. Louis, and it also broadcasts live on radio stations in Texas and Illinois.
Brilliant. Right, okay, which brings us to the first question. I'll come back to that. And that is the first question. What is the new John Simmons show?
Well, it's a show. It's a Christian long-form radio talk show that we just started doing the live stream in January that is focused on helping people find a new life in Christ and being able to find joy, peace, and hope. It stems from my own life in that I was a problem gambler who lost $500,000 over 10 years. And I found a hope and a peace in my life through Christ. And so now we have the new John Simmons show because I became the new John Simmons. And I'm now trying to encourage other people with our show to become the new them.
That's sorry, I've just, you've blown me there. But you knew you would.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all have in our lives, things that we paths that we go down, and we've got to pull ourselves back. But you were it was the gambling that was the problem.
Yeah, I started gambling at 18 when the World Series of Poker was on TV. I don't know if you guys had much of that over in England or not.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we do.
Chris Moneymaker. I watched him on TV, and I was fascinated by his story, and I wanted to create that story for myself. And instead, I sort of found myself getting into the other side of it, which is the addiction and the chasing.
Okay. Right. Okay. So my next question: you how long have you been doing the radio show?
So I've been in radio since 2003. This particular show started in September of this past year.
Wow.
Yeah. I went to radio trade school, and the live stream for me is a new thing. It's something we just launched in January. This is a brand new skill that I'm trying to add to my skill set and to our resume of being able to share our content. I got out of radio for about 9 years. In the midst of my gambling addictions, while I was chasing that, I actually became a poker dealer instead of, I had a degree in radio and broadcast journalism, and I avoided that to pursue this other, addiction. And then when I found myself out of that addiction, I found an opportunity to come work at a radio station again, and then just over time decided I wanted to get back into this building a show. Yeah. And so we've built a couple shows, but this particular show started in September 2017. Really, it is my intention to use this show as a platform to tell my story, that no matter what you've been through, you can come out of it and find something else, find something hope-filled, and then also to be able to encourage other people to find that in their own life.
So we've got the radio show, and is that syndicated?
It is. It's syndicated in a few markets, and I love radio. I have a heart for radio, but radio is I don't want to call it a dinosaur because I don't think that it is. I know that many people still listen to it, but you have to expand outside of this one realm. So we're syndicated in a few radio markets, and the live stream obviously opens us up to national audiences, but you have to build those audiences. They don't just come find you.
Well, that's true, and we'll come on to that later as well, because but I'll stick with the program for the moment. Right. And so January this year, you decide that you're going to switch from radio to Radio Plus, and that Plus is live video. So well, I'm glad you did choose Be Live, but why did you choose Be Live?
Well, there's a couple different reasons. We were trying to be intentional to learn about this process, because for us, we saw people getting on their phones and going live. And for me, I didn't feel that the quality of some of the live programming was good enough for us. We were talking about going live even before we started the radio show. How can we combine these two things? It took us 5 months to get to a place where I felt we were going to be able to produce a visual component to our show that was, at least a step above what people were doing on their phones at the time. So we scattered the market looking for different opportunities to use live streaming software, whether it was Wirecast or some of the other people in the market, including Be Live. And so we were just sort of doing our homework, and we tried out a couple different platforms. We found that the price and the software for Be Live really set us in a position to use it effectively in the long term if we decided to. And so we really enjoyed the accessibility of it to bring new guests on and just send a link. We also liked the idea that it was affordable for us. And then we also liked the idea that the lower thirds and the graphics were integrated into that, as long as we had the ability to find somebody to create some for us.
Well, indeed. And the facilities are everything that we need is in one place, isn't it? I mean, you just got the one screen, and it's easy to operate and concentrate on actually producing the show. Now, an interesting thing, I caught you show the other day. Well, you actually have radio phone-ins too.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my best as a person who's integrating all these things to utilize them together, not just keep them separate from one another. I really want to be able to have someone call in on the phone and have them come over Be Live. And at the same time, I want someone to be able to come on Be Live and go over the air on my radio waves. So there is no misconnection for anybody, regardless of how you're catching our show. You're getting all of it. You're not limited to just one part of it.
Right. Okay. Now, to me, that's magic because, well, you're actually bringing people in audio only into Be Live. That's the first trick. And the second trick is that you're taking their audio and putting it out on the radio.
Yeah.
Now you said that in 2 sentences, but I'm sure it's not that simple, is it? Can you just give us a sort of background to it?
Sure. I can tell you that we started the show in September, just to give you an understanding of how far we've come. It took us 4 months of behind-the-scenes tinkering. We bought Be Live back in October, and we didn't go live until January because we wanted to have all the bugs worked out. We went through a lot of trial and error with, buying the right equipment, plugging the cord into the right hole, getting the levels right, doing all the things behind the scenes that now are just part of our daily routine. But in the beginning, it was, how do we get the radio signal into the Be Live stream? And then we had to figure out how to plug the headphone jack of our radio station, essentially our output, into the Be Live stream. We had to buy a wire to plug that into my laptop, which I use for the show, and then I plug the laptop into the board itself, where I can play audio from the computer, which is my outgoing Be Live person, and it goes into the radio board, which gets fed back into the outgoing. It's a lot of technical talk, but that's what's happening. It's going into the outboard of the radio board and into the airwaves.
What's the sort of, just ballpark figures, but what's the sort of investment to do that?
I think we've spent just on the cables. I think you have a laptop and you buy the 2 cables that we use. The investment was maybe $40.
Wow.
We used a Rocat to plug into the computer, and then it's just a headphone jack into the board. You can use an XLR on the other side, or you might be able to use just a stereo jack or some component cables, depending on your setup. For us, we just have a simple stereo to stereo, and so that investment is so minimal. Now, obviously, we've gone a little above and beyond just those 2 cords. We bought cameras and we bought video capture cards and things like that to be able to create a better visual experience. Mm-hmm. Because if you've seen my show, we're not just using the webcam. We're going into a separate camera angle, and with our hopes to someday include some more shots on that angle. And we're even trying to build a studio. Behind me now is we're trying to move from the radio station into my own home studio and create the show live there. So we're doing a lot of things. We got a lot of mixers and stuff that we've been purchasing over time to try and improve our show and improve the visualization of it. Because for us, being on radio has been so easy. You just turn a mic on and no one sees what's going on.
Okay.
And now that we've entered this live stream format, we want to be, we can't be pioneers. Someone's already done it, but we can try and be better than the average live streamer to bring some new listeners, to catch someone's eyes. They're scrolling because obviously we're in a market that's oversaturated with so many people trying to do this. So how do we stand out? Well, we need to look different. We need to sound different. We need to look better. We need to sound better. And so those are some of the things that we're trying to accomplish. And just for us to have the ability to bring in a Be Liver and have it go over the radio, and then have someone call in on the radio show and have it go over Be Live, is something that I think makes us stand out in a big way. Now, whether people notice that's happening or not is another story. You did, but I'm not sure if everybody else catches that.
I blew my mind. It simply works so well because you were doing a live interview. And it was seamless. That's the thing that struck me. It was totally seamless. Because let's just talk about your show for a moment, the show content, which is very important. You were actually talking to people. Well, this if you could sort of say the type of guests you have on the show and the type of things that they talk about.
Sure. Yeah. So we seek guests outside of my own testimony, which makes up a lot of the content for the show, is me talking about my life or sharing the teachings that I've learned over the years in a conversational way, where we talk about topics that are current and in the news cycle in regards to the Christian walk and faith. But then we have a lot of guests, and we focus guests on people who are walking out what we call God's sentence for their lives, but easier way or a more proper way to say that for a multiple understanding is that we believe people have a unique purpose and plan for their life. So we seek out guests who are walking in their gifts and their talents, and they're utilizing them to the ability that they know they're being used correctly. And that these are not people that are just out there sort of doing life and not knowing why. We're looking for people who have vision, people who are, trying to impact change, not only in their own life, but also positive change in the lives of those that they come in contact with, people who are serving other people in some way. And so we've had a number of guests, from filmmakers to people who have come out of hard situations like mine. Like just a couple weeks ago, we had someone who was a New Ager, and they dealt a lot in New Age things and became a Christian. They had a lot of stories. We've had people who have overcome dramatic events in their lives and shared stories. Just last night, we had a guest who was a cancer survivor who also lost her husband to cancer and found Christ through all of these. So we're sharing the stories, the real life stories of people who have found encouragement and hope in a new life in Christ. And these stories, I really believe, are going to help encourage people more than just, and this is what I find in the Christian radio market right now, it hasn't really changed much over the last 60 years. It's been a preacher, it's been some sort of ministry that it's at a church service. And for us, we're trying to expand out of those two basic molds that have been in existence for the last 50 or 60 years, because there is now live stream in the last 2 years, and no one's really touching on it in a new and unique way in our niche market. You see other people doing it in other fields and other businesses, but the Christian walk and the Christian resources, when they live stream, they're just live streaming their church service, or they're just live streaming a sermon. And for me, I'm like, how do we become more than that and reach Christians who are looking for engaging content and share the stories of people who might bring them in, just like a Tonight Show or something like that. You don't often see guests on Christian shows in the way that we're presenting it. So we're trying to really pinpoint stories that are engaging and people who are doing things that are encouraging to others and might draw some encouragement into someone else's life.
And I just got to say, having watched the show the other day, how powerful this is, because what you're able to do is, because of your approach, which is compassionate and understanding and non-judgmental, you're able to let people just tell their stories in their own way, and it comes across so powerfully. And there is something in each of the stories that we can relate to. I think that's one reason why it works. And I just want to go to Jim's comment here. And he's talking about your show, and he's saying your show will be helpful for our clients. Returning ex-offenders whose former life and direction has blown up. They need a hope and a future. So this is networking. This is what I love about live video. After the show, I'll put you in touch with Jim.
Yeah.
And then you can take it from there.
Yeah, his wording, in fact, he says they need a hope and a future. That's how we start and end each of our shows. I don't know if I said that tonight and that's where he caught it, or if this is just a unique a message. But we strive to help people find a hope and a future for their lives.
Yeah. So Jim is on the same path.
All right.
And I'm sure that you find some synergy between you.
Great.
Just before I get sidetracked, I've got one thought, and I don't want to lose it. And before I can get to that, RJ is confirming Jim is good people. So
right.
There you go. And I can say Jim is good people too. Now, you mentioned a moment ago audio out, audio in. If you could just get that down, if you of the mind to, if you could get that down as a white paper, as a document where people can use it as a reference, yeah,
the
then
workflow.
we can put it in the Believers group, and
sure.
That would be brilliant. So think on that. Right. Okay. Now we've still not got to the third question, so it's time for the third question up on screen. And what is Testimony House work?
The network, yeah. So the Testimony House network is something that we really have a big vision for, and we really see live streaming as being a tool we're going to be able to see this vision that we have come to pass. So in addition to the new John Simmons show, which we host on the radio and on the live stream right now, we are trying to create a number of new shows and Christian content that is, again, in a similar vein to being outside of the box shows than we normally see on Christian networks and programming and live streams. And what I really like, the best way to maybe describe it is to talk about the Live Hub or the US Hub, which we've also got connected to. It's where it's just a stream of different shows from different creators and contenters, and they are producing their show on their terms, but we're all sharing it on the same page. So for us, the Testimony House Network is our vision to do that, whether it's on social media or creating an app, but creating a place where unique Christian content can sort of sit in one area for people to go and find. And so we're looking for people who have Christian content or a great story. They're trying to help people find hope in a future, or trying to serve other people in some way through their message. And we want to put all these things together on the Testimony House Network, which is the ministry that I started that supports the new John Simmons show. So it's just a hub for new and unique Christian content to gather together and create a community of people who are looking for things like this. Because for me, when I'm looking for new content, I see all of these V-Livers, and they're so excited and they're so passionate to share their message, but it's all different messages, it's all different fields, and I'm trying to get people like that who are passionate in this niche market, which I really think needs more content. And so I'm trying to get connected with people who are creating their own content. I don't need any say in it. I just want to support them and vice versa, and have a place where we can all come together to share it.
Well, that's one of the great things about live video, is that everybody is cross-supportive and cross-supportive. And this is the time, because of what Facebook have done, this is a time to create hubs and networks and get people involved. And everybody's of a sharing mentality, so everybody's helping everybody else. And that's why we started a live video hub too, which is, the live video hub is the general hub, which you're on, and we'll come to why you're on it in a moment. But that's the general hub, and 134 shows on there at the moment. Mm-hmm. And we're just starting. I mean, you've gone for a specific interest group. We're going for fitness. So we're going to have the Be Live Fitness Hub, which is being created at the moment and should go live next week. Wow. And you've got an invitation. So that's advertisement over. Let's go back to the show. First of all, just to catch up, Jim is saying he hasn't heard of your show before. Well, this is the show. And I shall just adjust it so you can actually see it. I'll take the title off the screen. So there you are. It's the new John Simmons show, and yep. You'll find it not only on John's page, but you'll find it live on the hub. And you're more than welcome to watch it there, and then go to John's page, and make contact with John,
please.
And sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, please do contact me.
Right, and Jim's thanking RJ, and this is again the power of networking. My friend Cheryl would love to have a chat with you.
Great, would love to.
So we're making progress here.
All right.
I mean, this is it. I mean, you're now talking to people in my network, yeah,
right?
Which people outside your own network, and that's how it all works. We sort of broadcast in each other's networks and get to know new people. And Jim has put a link into the comments, so you can actually, so you can actually follow up.
Wonderful.
With Jim, and I'm sure Cheryl, if you can do the same, if you can drop. Well, Cheryl, you can just start a messenger chat with. That would be And action is taking place as well. Jim has signed up for your newsletter, and we have a hello from Marco. Marco is in Portugal, so we're truly global. And Mark and I've been on Marco's show and speaking to his audience, and it was a brilliant experience.
My father was Portuguese.
Will you say that again? Because I might have talked over it.
Oh, no worries. I said my father was from Portugal. It was Portuguese.
This show is full of coincidences.
Yes, for sure is.
Full. And as you said, Jim has signed up for a newsletter too.
Great.
So a lot of action on this show, and I mean it's not just Marco's remembering the show. We must get together again soon, Marco. The thing is though that we're here at the right time, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because we can now reach out to an audience and involve them. I mean that's the other thing about Be Live is that you can actually get involved with the audience.
Yeah.
And the conversation becomes three-way because it's the two of us on screen, and then everyone, friends are here and talking as well, again involved too. And next question from Marco is whereabouts in Portugal?
Oh, I wouldn't be able to tell you. He passed away when I was young, and we didn't get to that point.
Right. Okay. But I mean, it's just the fact that we're connecting with people is good. Right now, the other thing I noticed about your show, because when you do your own show, you go and watch somebody else, and you're always learning, you're always finding, well, how are they doing that? Now, your show, the first 2 minutes, because you're on radio, I presume, but the first 2 minutes seem to be sponsored.
Yes. My show is we attract sponsorship via our radio show, and it's a revenue stream long before we came into live streaming, and now we're able to just utilize our live stream as another opportunity for potential sponsors to join the show. Now, I do have to preface this by saying my show is supported by a nonprofit ministry, so any advertisement that we get actually sows a seed into the ministry and is tax deductible, whereas normal radio sponsorship is just a business transaction. This is a little bit different than that because we buy our time on the air, and so we have to offset those costs through donorship or through advertisements. And so, but we aren't creating a profit on our end. So, but yes, so we're able to sponsor our show and put those spots in our live stream as well as on our radio show.
Right, and those sponsors local or?
For right now, they are local in my city because we don't have a team large enough to start going in after the expansion cities yet.
Right. Understood. Thank you for that. Now, the other thing that I noticed, because you were just there, is your new studio, which, can you describe it? Because you're actually rebuilding your new studio as another new studio.
Correct. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're just trying to take a similar page out of what the YouTubers have done, and they create some sort of backdrop and some sort of visual difference from just a wall or from something like that. But we're also going to create an entire set like a Tonight Show or any of the sort of the interview type shows, because we still want to be able to invite guests over, whether it's live via the stream or whether it's here to my studio. So we're just building out, a desk type format, just like you would see in a normal talk show TV station, but also try and integrate it to where it's also sort of got, if it's just the one camera, it sort of feels like the YouTube view where you see, the books behind, or if you've seen the Dave Ramsey podcast. We're not reinventing anything. We're just taking ideas from different things that we've liked. But the studio, even like Jeff Adams' studio, would be a similar thing to what we're trying to create. That's just something visual, that's eye-catching when people are scrolling through, that isn't just me and a wall and a piece of glass like it is currently at our radio station.
You just mentioned a name which resonates with everybody on BeLive.tv, and that name is Jeff Adams. I look to count him as a friend, but he is just the best broadcaster that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's the ability that he has. He is energetic, but it's not the ultra high energy that irritates you, because
right,
that can happen. It's just his pitch is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I've had the opportunity to speak with Jeff multiple times on his show, and we've been connected. He's one of the things that drew me to Be Live. You come on here and you see some of the videos, and I say, well, that's somebody who's doing something similar to what I have envisioned in my mind. I need to follow someone like that and learn from them. Like you said, we're always watching other people's videos and learning from them. I have found the Be Livers group to be especially helpful. And now that we've got the live video hub, these are just avenues for me to, again, don't feel bad if I steal an idea. It is flattery, when anyone on the station or on the feed, because I think, hey, we're all trying to learn and make ourselves better. And if you see something on my show that works, feel free, use it for yourself.
Well, that's why I asked you about the audio.
Yeah.
But no, we do all share. We share the knowledge, and it's that makes that networking work. So that we help somebody now, and down the road somebody will help us, and it's that give and take,
right?
And giving first, which brings me to a phrase I picked up, which you might like to talk about just for a moment or two, and that's a phrase from your show, which is passion, vision, and faith.
Oh, you really did listen if you caught those 3 words. Yes, so passion, vision, and faith. When I started my journey with Christ in 2012, I was 29. I'd lost $500,000. I was completely depressed. I was suicidal before that. I had all of these negative feelings in my emotions, and I wasn't doing anything I felt like was productive as a human. I wasn't contributing to society in any way. I wasn't doing anything except leeching off of others and sort of being a burden to myself and to those around me. And so when I got inside to Christ, one of the first things I learned was that he had a plan for your life. And I'd heard a lot of people talk about that, but I didn't know how to find it. And so as I just started on my own Christian walk and building a relationship with God, I found that there were certain things that were synonymous between people who are really living the Christian life in a way that was suitable to what Christ teaches, and just helping others and loving God with our actions and not just with our words. And so over the last 5 years, I started to put a name to what I was seeing. And so I created, biblical standards. Again, I'm not creating the Bible. I took biblical scripture and just put words to them that we're familiar with. Passion for the Christ. This was a movie that almost everybody saw. This isn't a word that someone has made up, but passion is being able to develop a relationship with God through quality time and communication. And just like Christ did, the passion of Christ was to die for our sins. We should too be able to find a passion for God where we're seeking to follow God in the way that Christ did, and just follow his example and follow his teaching. The other thing is vision. And vision is a real big thing that you see throughout the Bible. Most of the stories that you read in the stories of the Bible are people who are doing things with a vision for the future. Noah built a boat, and Abraham had his family that he had to move away, and the apostles followed Christ to teach other peoples and get fish. And so there's all of these stories where people are having vision for the future. And so I wanted to be able to help people discover what that vision was, because I didn't have one in my old life, and I found it through Christ. God showed me that I would start a ministry. God showed me that I would be on the radio years before I even went back. God showed me I would write a book, and we published that book a few years later. And so if you have a vision for your future, it helps you, focus your energy not on where you've been, like where I was $500,000 in debt and sort of feeling hopeless, but instead put my hope in Christ and the future that he created for me. And the last word, faith, is that if passion and vision are just 2 things you can sort of have in your heart and have in your mind, faith is what you need to fulfill it. Faith is an action word. You have to have faith to do what you're thinking about. Faith for the future. I didn't know this radio show, what it was going to look like and how it was going to end up until we started to do it. If I would have said, well, it'd be great to have a radio show, but I never started it, I never put the plans into action, I would never be able to help other people. And so for anybody who's trying to build God's plan for their life, find a passion for God, find a vision from God, and find the faith to follow it out. These are the 3 things that we teach that hopefully will help people discover what their purpose and plans are in life.
John, thank you for your insights into your religion and the way that you use the show to actually reach out to and involve people. Mm-hmm. And Marco is saying as well, and I think this is all part of the picture, is that we're lucky with all the people who share on BeLive group, because there is a community spirit which abounds on BeLive. It's like nowhere else I've ever been, because people do actually get involved with each other and help each other and support each other.
You have to excuse me. I'm trying to plug in my laptop. It's going dead. So you keep talking. I'll just plug this in while I'm sitting here.
Okay. I'll took you down off air. I'm back on air, and whilst John is doing that, he's going to give me a thumbs up to say it is back. If you're watching now and you know somebody who actually broadcasts about fitness and health, if you could point them in my direction, or as I say, I'm creating the fitness hub at the moment, and I'd like to know if anybody whose shows you enjoy, who broadcasts on BeLive.tv, so that we can bring them onto the hub and find them a larger audience and get them involved in sharing and supporting each other. And I've just noticed whilst I was actually talking on air, somebody's agreed to be on the fitness hub. So it's all taking shape. I mean, 4 weeks ago, the live video hub didn't exist. There was nobody. Well, it's just an idea. And today, with 134 members, and what I'm hoping to do with the fitness hub, backed by BeLive.tv, is to expand that so that we have, if you've got any questions about fitness and health, there'll be somebody on BeLive TV who knows about it, and there will be broadcasting on BeLive TV. You can go and watch their shows. More importantly, you can watch the replays as well. So if somebody is, for argument's sake, a yoga teacher, then you can watch the episodes of their shows going back and find out more about that particular topic, about yoga. And welcome John back, as he once again has power.
Sorry about that.
I didn't know, this is live. This is the beauty of live. No, I was just saying thank you for sharing your story today, both the story about the show and the story about yourself, and about the mission that you're on. And it's been enlightening, and it's been entertaining and interesting.
Thank you.
Now, before we close the show, I'm going to make one offer. Have we got a few minutes?
Sure.
Okay. If you'd like to pop on now and ask John a question directly live on air, then just type guest in the comments. We've got one of our messenger bots running, and type guest, and you'll be sent a message with the link to actually join us on camera. That means that I can carry on talking without having to go down to the bottom right-hand corner, copy the link, put the link onto Facebook. Keeps the whole thing a lot tidier.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're looking into now. We've been watching your videos on the bot, Stephen, and we're really interested in implementing that into our process. It's a lot to take in. You guys go really in depth on your videos, and so it's taken us some time. But in the future, look for that on our programs as well.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, if you need any help, then RJ is the person who can do that. And thank you for watching the show. And if you want a guest bot, then I've got a video on YouTube, which I'll send you a link afterwards, and then you can just put the guest bot together and try it out. And because the thing is, once you've designed your first bot, you either fall in love or you don't. And if you fall in love with it, then you're on your way, and you've got the first working bot, and it's all very magical after that. Well, there you have it.
Right.
Okay. Now, do you have a message that you'd like to send out to people before we close the show?
Yeah, please.
Yours, sir.
If you're interested in just knowing what we're about, or if maybe you have your own idea for a particular show and you're just wanting to sort of flesh it out with someone, they talk about this on BeLive all the time, that they want to help you create your own show and your own brand. And for us, we want to help you with that too. If you have a Christian message, let us help you in the same manner that they are. We're using the same service. We're trying to do the same things. Just to encourage people and give them hope. So if you're interested in being a part of that and creating your own content with help from us, we'd love to be a part of that. If you just want to be connected to the show, it's newjohnsimmons.com for the website, or you can just find us on Facebook. Give me a message, give me a shout, and let me know what's going on, and we'll get connected.
Brilliant. Excellent. And just to round this off on a very positive note, Jim has just popped in and said, take a look at these Google communities focused on fitness and health. Many of them should be prime candidates for a new hub. Jim, brilliant. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Right, to everybody who's watched today, thank you. This has been fantastic. Well, I've really enjoyed myself. John, thank you for coming over.
Hey, I appreciate the time.
Say hello to Corinda. And to everybody who's watched today, everybody who's commented, I just want to say a big thank you. This is part of a series of interviews with people who broadcast on the live video hub. There are well, as we've seen today, there are people with a message, and they're using BeLive.tv to get that message out to the world. And John, I wish you every success, every future success, and everybody who's watched, thank you. And I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central Time, and see you again all later. Bye for now.
Bye now. Thank you.
Right. Okay.